Welcome to another meeting of the Lorain County Commissioners, broadcast exclusively on your Lorain County Community College education station. The Lorain County Commissioners cordially invite you to see the meetings live and in person every Thursday morning. The meetings are located in the Lorain County Administration Building, located at 226 Middle Avenue in downtown Elyria. The meetings start at 9:30 a.m. on most weeks. Now, enjoy the meeting.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think Mr. Moore had an emergency and had to leave this morning.
Commissioner Moore informed me that a personal issue came up that wasn't serious in nature, but he had to attend to it, and he won't be able to join us this morning. Thank you.
I would like for you to take one moment to reflect. Thank you. The first thing on the agenda this morning is a presentation of a certificate of recognition for the 911 personnel who received the Ohio 2001 Double Gold Award. Does that double mean something special? Would you come up, please, and receive the awards?
Are you going to mention their names?
Yes.
Okay.
Commissioner Blair, you want to give one?
No, okay. Thank you.
This one is for Kurt Scholl. This is for your selection as an Ohio 2001 Double Gold Award winner. The exemplary skills and performance reflected in this award are an honor to both you and the county and community you serve so competently. The board wishes to thank you for your dedication and expertise on behalf of all of Lorain County. And I think that you should tell us, Kurt, just a little bit about how you got this award.
Our supervisor had nominated me and Dre Williams for the team award, which is working together on the Lorain County Speedway accident last summer. And out of 10 nominations, we were chosen out of all of them.
All over the state?
All over the state of Ohio.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You do a fine job for us at night.
Is she right here?
No, she's not.
Oh, okay.
Why don't you read the citation?
It's the same.
Oh,
I think that our director should come up too.
maybe take it for maybe Robin can take it. Sorry.
This is Robin Williams. Jones.
This is for...
I am sorry, Robin.
That's okay. This is for DeRay Williams.
Yes, you can be here today.
And I'm hoping that you will accept this for me.
I certainly will.
Thank you.
And thank you, Robin.
Thank you.
I wonder who Robin Williams. He's a famous movie star. I'm trying to get my foot out of my mouth, Robin. I'm glad you're conducting the meeting.
It's one of those tongue twister days. You know, it's really good to be able to give these awards. So often good accomplishments and achievements are unrecognized. And it's a real pleasure to recognize our 911. Thanks again for the good job. Madam Chair?
Oh,
Oh, Madam Clerk, you mean?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I've been promoted.
It is.
I've been promoted.
Blame it on barometric pressure.
I'd like to go into Mr. Fred Wright, Executive Director from Lorain County Urban League, is here for an introduction and talk about the program a little bit.
Mr. Wright, would you please come up to the podium?
oh, Mr. Twiney's going to introduce him,
Okay.
If
huh?
I could, I have a short bio as Fred is coming up here. Fred Wright is now the President CEO of the Lorain County Urban League. He graduated from Bellevue University in June of 2001, has a bachelor's degree in Management of Human Resources, was on the Dean's List, and carried a 3.94 grade average at his school, and has received several awards, has recently taken over as of April 22nd this year the presidency of the Lorain County Urban League, an office that we work quite closely through the CDBG program, and he comes here from the Urban League of Nebraska, where he served from 1995 to the year 2002. So it's our pleasure to introduce him, and I think Fred has a few comments he wants to make to the public and to the board. Thank you.
Always have to adjust the mic. I'm 6'5", so. But I just want to say thank you for welcoming me here today. I've come a long way. I'm originally from Baltimore, Maryland, 34 years, and then by way of Omaha, Nebraska, 13 years. So if you haven't figured it out, I'm 47 years old. But, I had a chance to read both of these documents here. One is the executive summary of the state of Lorain County African American Latino community, and then this is the full report of that study. And both of these studies tell me that there's a lot of work to do. And so I'm here to help facilitate that change, but it has to happen with all of us working together to address the issues that affect minorities and other people in the community, because it's always a disproportionate effect. So I subscribe to the socialist theory, and that's what affects one of us affects all of us. So I hope that you don't get tired of me being in your face and about making change and facilitating change. So thank you, and I appreciate it, you having me here today.
Welcome to Lorain County.
Thank you, I appreciate
I'm
it.
sure the board looks forward to working with you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excuse me, but could we perhaps have an address and phone number in case we want to contact the E-League?
Good idea.
I started to ask was there any questions, but I didn't want to steal anybody's thunder, so, I've learned that you get up and say what you got to say, and then you sit down. But the Lorain County Urban League's phone number is 323-3364. And you can call that just about, you call that any time. We are there most of the time from 8 in the morning till around 6 in the evening, but we do have an answering service so we can get to you as quickly as possible with any concerns that you have. We are hoping, and one of my things that I'm really going to be fighting for is a new building for the Urban League where we'll have more curb appeal and more appearance in the community, and you can see the Urban League sign and logo from wherever you come down into Elyria. So that's one of the first things I have on my agenda, is to try to find us a new building with appropriate space.
You know that the meetings are televised, so maybe you would like to explain for the audience a little bit about what the Urban League does.
Okay, well, the Urban League, the National Urban League, was founded in 1910, and its office is in New York, New York. It was founded for 4 reasons, and that was to help African Americans who were migrating from the rural South to the industrial North, and to help them with 4 issues: education, employment, housing, and dealt with their overall advocacy issues. There are 110 Urban League affiliates across the country in 34 states and the District of Columbia. The Lorain County Urban League has been in business since 1978. We will be celebrating our 25th year of existence in 2003, so you will hear a lot about that, because I'll be putting a lot out about 2003, in the year 2003, about our 25th year in existence. So we're here to help facilitate education, employment, housing, health issues, work with young people, and just do a variety of different things that give people a hand up and not a handout. That's very important, because the thing is, you're trying to bring people up to economic self-sufficiency. So we lift them up and then give them the tools that they can go out and be part of this community in a more productive way. Yes, sir.
Oh, good.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else have any questions? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Wright.
One more thing. We will be having a reception tonight at the Lorain County Community College Spitzer Center in the Grand Room. Anybody's invited who want to come from 5:30 to 7:30, and we'll have some hors d'oeuvres, and we'll have some speakers, and I'll be speaking myself. So whoever has the opportunity to come out, we're going to have a good time. So come on out. Thank you.
Okay, thanks
Thank
again.
you very much.
Okay, Madam
Okay,
Clerk.
under resolutions, I need a motion to approve the Job and Family Services bills for payment.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Investments?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Appropriations?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Transfers?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
There are no advances today.
Right.
Requisitions?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Travel expenses?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Approving bills for payment?
So moved, but note my exceptions. So we'll have to put them back on when
Okay,
Mr.
but I
Moore's here.
don't think I saw your exceptions. I'll second
It
the
was
motion.
second, psych and psych.
I didn't see that, so, okay. Thank you for that.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
To authorize various personnel actions as indicated on the summary for employees within the jurisdiction of Lorain County Commissioners.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Are we planning on an executive session?
I had planned on having one, but I think the issues require the attention of the full board, so perhaps we could have one next week.
Okay,
Is
thanks.
Unless the HR director feels differently.
No, some of the issues probably should be.
Need all three commissioners? Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
I'd like to approve and enter into contract between the Lorain County Department of Job and Family Services and the Board of Commissioners for the Ombudsman Services. Contract is effective July 1st, 2002 through June 30th, 2003 in the amount of $5,967.33. I need to authorize the Vice President to execute on behalf of the Board.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye. Tim, please explain what the ombudsman, what the position is and what the functions are of the ombudsman.
I'd be pleased to do that, and then perhaps we can have Larry come to the podium too and speak to that.
Because we are being televised, and people, a lot of people out there are not really aware of the ombudsman and what the position means.
The ombudsman, my understanding of the position anyway, is that it's a community link between our citizenry here that accesses the services available within the county to assist them in any difficulty they're having with the various services that are offered, and try to act as an intermediary to resolve those problems and make sure that we have a smooth service delivery to those persons, and to have a voice that they can speak to on issues that are concerning them. It sounds like a little bit, but it's a lot, and it's a very broad-based position. And so far, we've been very successful. It's been a very, very positive year. I also spoke with Ms. Golsky before this was put on the agenda. She's very pleased with the progress being made and with Mr. Allen's workings out at the Department of Job and Family Services. I haven't had an opportunity to share that with Larry, but this is just as good a time as any.
It's nice to hear it publicly.
Yes, it is. And with that, maybe Larry can speak to a little bit about what he's been doing.
Larry Allen, County Ombudsman. Basically, as Jim just indicated, I try to smooth the way between the citizenry and the Human Services Department out there by trying to alleviate any problems that they may be having right now, getting what service or helping them get the service that they need, help directing them to the person to see, and help them with the red tape that may be involved in getting the services that they're looking for.
But that's only part of what you do. You also assist the commissioners in responding to questions or complaints that we
Very true.
receive, which you did just this past week. Thank you very much.
Didn't want to build my head up.
Well, but I got credit for it, so I want to thank you.
Try to make the commissioners look good at all times.
Well, yeah, but you can't really say that because I think it's an unbiased position.
Exactly.
And just like with the Human Service Department, what we try to do is separate it. So you're not really working for the Human Service Department. You're a very independent person.
Exactly.
And if people have complaints, they should hopefully feel comfortable to be able to come to you and feel like it's going to be resolved. The issue will be resolved. All too often, people call county employees or any public employee, and they feel like they're hitting a stumbling block or they're not being heard. And the Ombudsman really is a way for people to be heard and really to be listened to, not only heard, but listened to. And he is kind of the middleman between the agency and the person that has the complaint. So it's really a good thing for the county.
Sometimes it's a matter of just getting correct information.
Right.
Exactly.
When you have correct information, then all parties can
Exactly.
look at that and
I'm just,
resolve
like
the
she
issue.
said, the man in the middle.
Yeah, and steering people in the right direction. Often they'll call and they don't know where to turn, and that's what Larry is here to do. A nice long list of agencies and let them know where they can find the help that they need.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, number 11, we need to approve and enter into the following addendums for the fiscal year 2003 Community Corrections Act subsidy agreements. The first one will be fiscal year 03 addendum for the Community Corrections Act program 407 subsidy grant agreement with the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction. This program is administered by the Lorain County Adult Probation Department and is effective July 1st, 2002 through June 30th, 2003. The said grant is awarded in the amount of $383,304. And also for the fiscal year 2003 addendum for the Community Corrections Act Program 408 Subsidy Grant Agreement. This grant is also effective July 1st, 2002 through June 30th, 2003 in the amount of $91,204. And we'd authorize the Vice President to execute on behalf of the Board.
So moved.
I'll second.
Discussion?
Mike Willets is
Yes,
here if you want
I have a question. Mike, is there a match required, a local match for either of these?
No, Commissioner. There's no match on there. Basically, the commissioners do give a lot of in-kind support, building, those type of things, but no match on either of these grants.
Okay, Mike, again, for the audience,
Mike
please give your
Willets.
name and your position.
Chief Probation Officer for Lorain County Adult Probation.
Thank you. Okay, thanks, Mike.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
I'd like to grant extension of time to Gene Reeser Incorporated for completing the work on the administration building restrooms due to a misinterpretation of the custom color requirement. There is no additional cost associated with this extension. Our WL Architects have reviewed and recommends approval. This extension of time to complete the project is requested until November 12, 2002.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
I'd like to approve and enter into agreement between the Board of Commissioners on behalf of the Children and Families Council and Fink and Associates of Wadsworth, Ohio, for the compilation of a cash basis financial statement for the year ended December 31st, 2001. We need to authorize payment of the invoices submitted in an amount not to exceed $2,000 and authorize the Vice President to execute on behalf of the Board.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Yes. Mr. Crespo or John, Mr. Rokasi, what account will this be coming from?
Ma'am, I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
What account will the funding be coming from?
From the general revenue, we have an administrative fund where we receive dollars from our grants, and so the $2,000 will be coming from the administrative fund of the council.
Commissioner, it'll be paid from Children and Family First funds, not general funds.
That's what I needed to know.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank
Oh,
you.
that's okay. It was good that you explained it. Thanks.
Thanks.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
And to approve and authorize the Children and Families Council to submit administrative grant for state fiscal year 2003 requesting $20,000.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
That to authorize the Executive Director of the Children and Families Council to submit proposals for fiscal year 2003 Help Me Grow Initiative. TANF proposal is due to the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services May 17, 2002. The GRF proposal is due June 15, 2002 to the Ohio Department of Health. And Part C proposal is due July 22, 2002 to the Bureau of Early Intervention. Need to authorize the Executive Director of the Children and Families Council to enter into a contract with the Lorain County Department of Job and Family Services for acceptance and administration of the Help Me Grow TANF awards, and to negotiate contracts with service providers for the provision of services under the Help Me Grow initiative.
Also move.
Second.
Discussion?
Commissioners, before you have a vote, I would like to ask Mr. Crespo just to explain these programs a little bit. And
Sure.
we made a lot of progress. We're on time this year. In fact, we're ahead of time. And I'd like to give Juan an opportunity to tell us what we're going to be doing next year.
Thank you, Mr. Cortez. You've all heard about the Help Me Grow initiative over the past year or so. As I've reported out previously for FY02, we anticipate expending approximately 90% of our TANF award. That compares with FY01 expenditures that were right around 38% of the TANF award. So as you can see that the Council, in collaboration with the Lorain County Department of Job and Family Services, the assistance of the County Administrator, we've made great progress in terms of expending the TANF dollars and delivering services to Lorain County's 0 to 3 population. For this year, actually bids, just yesterday, the bids were due from Lorain County vendors that have submitted proposals for FY. We received a total of 21 bids. They were opened in this room yesterday afternoon. I'd like to thank Yvonne Newton for facilitating that process. This year, we currently have 10 vendors, and we expect next year hopefully not to exceed that amount too much, because we just don't have the capacity administratively to handle more vendors under the Help Me Grow process. Help Me Grow, once again, it's to deliver developmental services to and reduce the risk of children and their families between the ages of 0 to 3. It's a new initiative. The state just began this last year, and the state is very pleased not only with Lorain County's progress, but also with various other counties around the state. So if we can now keep up the good work in 03, and then we'll be fine. I don't know if there's any questions either from the commissioners or from the audience.
Juan, just one thing. I see there's some papers that were sitting here that you have to sign before you leave, so don't leave until you sign these.
Okay. Actually, it's for Commissioner Moore.
Oh,
That was yours.
okay.
Well, we'll just
Juan needs to sign them.
modify to have the Vice President sign. Juan, you want to restate that number again? You anticipate 90%. What was last year's percentage?
Last year's percentage of the TANF expenditure was 38%.
And the previous year?
The previous year was approximately 22%.
Commissioners, good things are happening with these programs in Lorain County. Now, while the 90% is an anticipated level, we're confident that we're going to reach that. Those are dollars that are staying here, staying with the people here that need those dollars rather than being returned to the originator of that funding. So, I'm very pleased. We've had a lot of power meetings with ODJS and CFC, and we've banged our heads together, and we don't always get along on issues, but the dollars are getting out into the community, and that's what's key.
That's right.
And Juan has put a lot of effort and time into this, also with a lot of people over at ODJS. So I think they should be commended, and hopefully we'll top out over 90% next year.
Good. What that really means is that we're bringing that state money back to the local level and keeping it here.
Yes, ma'am.
And that's what all the effort is behind it.
That's right. That's right.
But while we're talking about TANF money, I talked with Mary Lou Golsky and Bill Ogle the other day about the computer program that we discussed. And is our dubbing machine working yet so that they can get a copy of that video?
Not yet. Madam Clerk, you're looking at purchasing a high-speed dubbing.
I was talking to Yvonne about that this morning.
Mr. Kish requested so many tapes that our last machine just wore out.
Blame it on you. It was brand new before you started.
I want to know who used it so much. I only got 10 tapes.
Well, that was it. 10 tapes was the limit.
But we're going to purchase another machine shortly so that we can make those tapes. But if you let me have the tape, I'll get it sent out.
You have it. Sandy might have it, though.
Sandy, do you have the tape?
From the computer program?
I'll send it out and have it commercially taken care of. I'm sure the college will make a couple copies for us. They probably won't even charge us. So
Okay.
I'll get that taken care of. Sandy, we'll call out. Okay.
Because if there's any extra TANF money, that's another place to put it.
Yes, and we really need to take a serious look at that issue with the computers. I briefly mentioned it to Mary Lou. I have a meeting with her next week, and I have a meeting with Bill Ogle, so that'll be a time we can start tackling that issue.
Well, computers are our future. They're here.
TANF or maybe PRC money.
Maybe a combination.
Yeah.
Whatever the funding source, as long as we can deliver a service, it's the outcomes. So we'll be working on it.
Okay, thanks.
I don't remember who I was talking to, but after that video was shown, I commented to somebody about that, and they were very interested. So it's a matter of sharing information. Thank you for bringing that back to us.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Okay. I'd like to award contract to Bay Mechanical and Electrical Corporation for the combined bid reduction, contracts 1 and 2, for the Cresthaven wastewater treatment plant improvements. The low bid of $111,200 is 3.24% above the county estimate of $107,715, but within the 10% limit. Ken Carney, Lorain County Engineer, and K.E. McCartney and Associates, Incorporated, have reviewed and recommend approval. This award is made contingent upon the Ohio Public Works Commission's approval. Request to proceed.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
None here.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
I'd like to authorize the filing of the following grant renewals to the Attorney General's Office for the Victim Witness Program, which is administered through the Lorain County Prosecutor's Office. The first one for $22,757 for a single advocate for juvenile court. Grant is effective October 1st, 2002 through September 30th, 2003. Local cash match from the general fund is $7,586 for a total request of $30,343. And B, $49,713 for 2 part-time advocates and 1 full-time Hispanic advocate. The grant is effective October 1st, 2002 through September 30th, 2003. Local cash match from the general fund would be $16,571 with a total request of $66,284. The above renewals are the same as previous grants, and they'd authorize the Vice President to execute on behalf of the Board.
Also move.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
I'd like to issue a notice to proceed letter to the Ohio Bridge Corporation of Cambridge, Ohio, for the replacement of Parsons Road Bridge number 0782, effective May 20th, 2002. Contract was awarded by resolution number 02308 that was adopted April 25th, 2002.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
You know, it might help if we were to put on here when the work is going to start and how long it's going to be expected to take to complete it.
I think we can do that in the future. We'll take a look at why we're not doing it, and if we can, sure. Sounds good.
As long as we're talking about that, I have a question. I think that we did this with some of the projects on the Justice Center. When we accepted the bids, we also included the notice to proceed in there. Mm-hmm. And instead of having separate items, could we combine them?
I believe we can. I did try to do that with the Justice Center.
And it was good, I thought.
I'm sure that sometimes there's a lull between the awarding of the bid and getting the contract documents and so forth, and then issuing the notice to proceed. Normally, we're waiting on material from the contractor. So we award the bid because they're the apparent low bidder, but we have to wait for other materials before we proceed. Sometimes those materials are not forwarded to us until we award the bid because they require some time and effort on the contractor's part.
Well, then refresh my memory. Why do we go through the procedure of issuing a notice to proceed?
It's required by statute.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. Well, probably that's a good reason why we do it then. Thank you.
But we will, for the sake of convenience and efficiency, we will try to combine them when possible with the notice to proceed. Some contractors just don't want to put a certain amount of work into things that they're not going to be awarded the contract. Sometimes it's financials, whatever. It requires bonds and things. I don't have the specifics, but it does require quite a bit of work on their part, and that's why that comes after the awarding of the bid.
Well, sure, because sometimes they submit and then they have to provide the bond after they're awarded. Thank you for that re-education.
Madam Clerk. Okay. To award contract to Northern Valley Contractors Incorporated of North Canton, Ohio, in the amount of $2,834,828, which includes alternate number 8 for bid package 4A of masonry for the Lorain County Justice Center project, and issue notice to proceed for this contractor effective May 20th, 2002. Bids were reviewed by R.P. Carboni Company, and after consultation with the architect, Northern Valley Contractors Incorporated is the low bidder qualified and able to perform the work necessary to complete the project. Now, this above award is recommended for approval.
So move.
Second.
Discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Okay, comments, report. Mr. Cordez, Administrator.
For the consumption of the general public as a whole, there's been some questions as to why we're not digging a hole on our site yet on the Justice Center, so that we can put the matter to rest a little bit. I'd like to explain that we're having a little bit of problem with the design of the caissons with the site, and between the contractor, the construction manager, and the architect. We're not behind schedule. Sometimes these things happen. So once the final design is and the type of concrete and rebarring and so forth that's required inside those caissons, once there's a meeting of the mind on that, we're going to start digging, and hopefully very early next week. But as of today, there still was not the meeting of those minds did not take place. There's still some difficulty between the architect and the contractor as to the proper design of the caissons. This issue is very, very integral to the success of building, and we're going to take our time with this, and we're not going to rush into this, and we're not going to dig a hole until we're ready to do so. I had hoped it would happen a week ago, but if it takes another week, it takes another week, because we want to make sure that everybody's happy with the design of those caissons. The caissons are forms that you fill with concrete that are actually the supporting foundation for the building. This type of work does happen after the awarding of the contract between the contractor and the architect. So it's very important that it's done correctly. So I want to alleviate any concerns that why we're not moving forward. We anticipate moving forward soon, but we have to get past this step first. And if there's any questions on that, I'd be more than happy to field those questions. But everything is still fine with the Justice Center, and we're still making progress. And there's a lot of work going on, prep work that needs to go on. It's just you don't see it visually on the site yet, but soon you will.
Do you want to explain the website too? Because I had some questions on that, why it's not changing every few seconds.
Sure, I can do that. Thank you, Commissioner. The camera's pointing out there. You can see the site. We had so many visitors that we had to direct them to a off-site server. That server does not allow the camera to automatically update as we desired, so you have to refresh your screen periodically to get a new picture. It's my understanding that within the next week or two we will be making the necessary upgrades so that it once again will it'll once again update itself automatically. But the picture is available. We had to do that because we did not anticipate the volume of people wanting to see, well, nothing to see yet, but wanting to see the ongoing construction of the Justice Center. So it's pointing to a server right now in Columbus with some of our people that help us with our website. Stay tuned. Once we have more on that, we'll announce it here so that people can know what's going on. and I had forgotten about that. Thanks, Commissioner.
Yeah, and for those that are not as familiar with computers as a lot of other people, like I'm not familiar with it, for example. But anyway, when he talks about refresh, you click on, there's a little icon up there where you click the refresh, and it'll change the picture. And that's what he means by the refresh.
Right, some of it says refresh, reload. All it does is update the page to any change that's taken place since the last time you loaded the page. We'll have this. We're tuning it, and once we get it humming along on all cylinders, we'll make another announcement.
It'll be interesting once they start working on it, and you'll see the progress as it goes along. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you. The other issue I have, and I was slow to get this on the agenda. It should have been on this week. I briefly have told the board of the issue with the Grove site and now with the purchase by the City of Lorain of the pellet plant with our facilities under the bridge, our buildings and access to those buildings under the Vascular Bridge. A lot of old titles and easements and who owns what land, and we've been trying to track this down because when the pellet plant closed, we didn't have any access to our facilities under the bridge. Right. Now, going through a mountain of documents, it appears, and we're still trying to knock this down, that all we have is air rights under the bridge, and we don't have any land rights, which to me I find very unique, since the Department of Transportation came in and put a new garage down there in 1998 underneath that bridge. I'm not sure how they built that on land that we didn't own. I can't even find an easement for it. But we are still tracking through, and we're waiting for some information from the state, but the information isn't, nobody appears to have it locally. Whether we have permanent easement to that land, or we need to gain permanent easement to that land, or even purchase part of those parcels, I need access from the Grove site to underneath the bridge to our facilities under the bridge. Although with the city purchasing the rest of that land, we may be able to come from the other side of the site. But right now I've been working with the Port Authority. They're very amenable, since part of that's already sitting on their land, and I've looked at the titles and the drawings and the plats and so forth, to redesigning their road off the Grove site, making an access road into the areas that we'll eventually have to, as I said, purchase or get easements on. Their construction's underway now, and they want us to move rapidly with that. I asked them to get a price to have their engineers and their design team to design that access road and do the engineering necessary to come into our area. And they've sent me this letter. It'll cost us about $4,000 to do that. Because it's their engineers and their architects, we won't have to bid it. They're going to do a change order to their documents out there. And I'm asking that you take a look at this and you allow us to proceed so that we can get that access engineering and architectural work done. I need to point out, though, this is not construction cost. They need to do this so they can come back to us for construction cost on what it will cost. I don't believe it's going to be a tremendous amount of money. But while they're doing construction, they're very agreeable to working with us. Once their roads and everything's in, I don't know that they're going to be that agreeable to modifying and going back and having to put this in at that point.
I remember this coming up a few years back, but I don't know if we did anything about it. We don't have any paperwork on it?
There's tons of paperwork. It just doesn't, the outcome is that for some reason we don't seem to own any land underneath that bridge. It's very disturbing because I don't know how you can own just air rights under a suspension bridge. That's great, but that's not a suspension bridge. There's large columns coming down onto the property. We have our tower there. One piece of parcel seems to cut right through the old building for the towers. We have a roadway there. We have a generator room. We have a brand new garage. We're going to stay on top of it. And somewhere there may be more paperwork that we're not privy to. But the Port Authority's done quite an extensive title and deed search down there, and they're concluding that we're sitting on a lot of their property. And what's not sitting on their property appears to be sitting on old pellet plant property that soon is going to be owned by the City of Lorain. I'm hoping to find more documents, but that still doesn't alleviate the fact that we need an access road, a permanent access road into the site, because we've been coming in through the pellet plant, and I don't know who owned it before that, across some old railroad tracks and 3 different gates and so forth. So we need to permanently resolve that problem, and I think coming off the Grove site will be a real real easy way for us to exit and enter the site.
You're right, it has to be resolved one way or another.
I just wish it was resolved before it became my problem.
It's been a ongoing problem, I know that, but I thought we resolved it a long time ago. Apparently not. So we're going to do it now, right?
Yes, so therefore I request a resolution. I believe the cost there is $4,000 for the engineering and architectural work. The proposal may be attached to Rick Novak's letter.
It's on the second page on the top. It says what the cost is.
Do you have any idea how long this roadway will be?
Actually, it's not going to be very long. The road into the Grove site runs within a few hundred feet of the fence there. I always assumed, and I've been going down to that site for about a decade, that because we had all those improvements in the fence and the road down there, we owned that land. We just didn't own access from a major thoroughfare or a roadway into that, and we had an easement across other people's property to access that. But my assumptions were incorrect, at least so far from the paperwork we're looking at. Because the railroad's been through there, and you got some old railroad deeds, you have old property deeds, you have old easements, we've gone back to at least 150 years worth of different paperwork trying to sort through that issue. Rest assured that before the year is over, whether we purchase or we get easements or whatever we're going to do, we're going to resolve this problem permanently.
Jim, does this mean if we pay this $4,000, is this going to give us access, or?
Well, the Port Authority is going to give us access. There's no doubt about that. But they need to do the roadway, curb cuts, design work. That's what that is. All the design architecture work that's needed to bring the roadway in and get cost data for what it will cost to bring that roadway in. I believe we also may be able to be reimbursed by the state for this. I'm going to pursue that, recognizing the state reimburses us the cost of the operation of that Bascule Bridge. So we'll be looking for some funding from the state to help us work with this problem.
And then who's going to pay for the road and all the improvements?
Somebody has to pay for it because we need the road. I'm hoping that we can get some money from the state, but I won't want to promise that. But I will be pressing that issue with them to provide some support. But I think we're all aware of the budgetary situation at the state, and I'm more concerned with continuing the funding for the bridge. I don't want to rock any boats with the state because we do already get a couple $100,000 worth of funding from them for that Bascule Bridge. We may end up having to pay that and pay for a few things to fully correct this problem, but we can cross that bridge when we get there.
Will it be a road or just a drive?
It'll be a drive, and it'll be a concrete paved drive into our fence area.
Does the easement go with this?
Rick Novak and I will be working on the easement. They don't have a problem. Obviously, they wouldn't be doing the design architectural work and doing all this prep work if they weren't comfortable with that.
But I think bird in hand is worth two in the bush.
It will, yes, absolutely.
Okay. So I'll move to fund the amount charged for the scope of work in the amount of $4,000.
I'll second.
Any more discussion? Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Does this go to Roxanne?
Sure, I can get a copy from Roxanne later on. Thank you, Commissioners. I need to point out that the problems with all this access and so forth predates this board and predates these commissioners here. So it wasn't that we were sleeping at the switch. This has been an ongoing, long-term problem that has finally come to a point where it needs to be resolved. So I don't want to leave any lingering doubts that this board didn't perform its duties in a proper function.
Thank you.
Is that all, Jim? That's all?
Is that all you have?
Okay, Assistant County Prosecutor, Mr. Flanagan.
I have no reports this morning.
Commissioner's report.
I have none. Commissioner Blair?
I just wanted to mention that Friday night I went to the FFA banquet, Future Farmers of America banquet in Wellington High School. There are 68 young people involved in this program, and next year they're going to celebrate 50 years of existence, and these kids are fantastic. So I think sometimes we read and hear about all the misdeeds that a few do, and we forget to pat these youngsters on the back. They have wonderful advisor and such enthusiasm. It was an entertaining evening. That's it. Thank you.
Is there any old business?
I have none.
None here.
New business?
None.
I just have a note as a reminder that the Commission will conduct an administrative briefing on Tuesday, May 21st at 9:30 a.m. Board correspondence?
I move the reading be waived.
Second.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
Mrs. Vacy?
Aye.
Public comment?
Yes, Mr. Kish. Hey, I've heard of the Whistler's mother, but not the Whistler's father.
You probably recognize that song, Mr. Cortez. My name is Mr. Kish. I was in the Air Force, sorry. Good morning, Commissioners. Good morning, Lorain County taxpayers. It's time again for my weekly report. I'm sorry I'm going to go over some old tracks, but I had this prepared before the meeting. Yes, I'm old. Yes, I know, because my neighbor told me so. I am old enough to always remember Pearl Harbor. I heard it on radio. That was the days before television. There were tall-masted sailing ships in those before Pearl Harbor. I am reminded of a tale of the sailor who stuttered while talking, but could sing with no problem. He confronted his captain in a very agitated state and couldn't talk. The captain, who knew him, said, "Sing it, son." The boatswain's mate, should old acquaintance be forgot and never brought to mind. The boatswain's mate fell overboard. He's half a mile behind. The last commissioner's tape I received is March 14th. They're now a month behind. Anyhow, thanks for the update on the saga of the missing tapes. That reminds me of the movie, though, The Gang That Couldn't Shoot Straight. They are building a $46 million Just Us Center. For somebody, I am nobody. Hear me whimper. There once was a radio soap opera titled As the World Turns, and so was born As Lorain County Churns. You've heard me say that here. Which reminded me of another soap opera titled The Young and Restless, which either was or still is in existence. I don't know. Anyhow, I'm old enough to remember when there was a map that was right here. Where this map was, I can't get that information anymore. The information, it says right on there, where the map is, as far as I'm concerned, I am a member of the old and useless, a growing number. This information brought to you by the 7 C's. A cost-conscious, concerned citizens common sense committee. Thank you, Sivashen. Oh, by the way, one other comment. I spoke earlier of the fact that we may be losing jobs. I hope it doesn't happen. It bothers me. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that has any questions or comments?
Hi there, my name's Leona Winslow. I'm a transplant from Dallas area. I have recently enjoyed the last 18 months in the Buckeye State. I have run into a dilemma that I was told that if I show up at this meeting, I should at least present it. I have a home on Southwood. I think I probably don't have to say a lot more that you know where I'm going on this. We have standing water. I have called engineers for the county. I have called the inspector who passed my septic system, even though there was standing water right next to it at the time of my purchase. I have pictures of ducks swimming in my backyard. I have pictures of a pond that is not really a pond that's been on top of my neighbor's leach field for the last 2 months. I am seeking out what my legal resources are, and I understand that it is between Mr. Albert's land and my land, but it is now becoming a health concern. I did hire an engineer. He is filling out a report to state that there is health risk at this time, and we do need intervention. I also have 4 letters from other residents on this same side that are suffering from drain issues, septic system issues, health issues, and just flat out can't even enjoy their backyard because it's so full of mosquitoes. Having talked to the senior citizens, which I do not consider useless because they are our history, they were very kind and they were very informative that this has been going on for 5 to 10 years. We cannot afford to continue to ignore this. I personally am experiencing in the thousands of damage done to my basement area because it is compacted from the water that is flowing off of that field into my leach field and then backing up into my septic tank. I have had several repairs. We'll continue to have several thousand more repairs, and I need some assistance on this. I have called Mr. Szabo, who basically said, he sent me a copy of the report, and he said, well, it was working when I was over there, and I said, can you send me a copy of that report? Well, the report said there was standing water right next to my leach field, his own writing. It also said that he looked into my septic tank. There was no land disturbed, ever. When I had a repair done in this spring, it still hasn't had grass grow over it. So I don't know what house he was at, but that property was not inspected correctly. We are now suffering the consequences of that because our purchase pended on that inspection. So we need help. And I don't know who I need to talk to. I know I've talked to Mr. Hamilton, who happened to know where my house was before I even got 2 words out of my mouth. Because he's an engineer, I was told I needed an engineer to look at it. I'm a stay-home mom trying to save money. I call the Lorain County engineer. Mr. Hamilton answers the phone and he says, well, I was out there 3 years ago. Your neighbor next door, the one with the pond, says, he's had a mosquito problem. Nothing was resolved then either. So this was between 2 landowners. This is now becoming a health issue. We need some help. I don't know what our resources are.
You have contacted the health department, and Mr. Szabo from the health department was out there.
No, Mr. Szabo did not want to come back out. Mr. Szabo said, as long as your toilet's still flushing, it can swing operable. My engineer that I just paid did not say that. He said it's in the process of failing, and at the time that I bought the home 18 months ago, it was in the process of failing, and that the people next door system is failing. I called 2 days ago. I was told Mr. Szabo was not in his office. I said, well, please have somebody return this call because my neighbor's system is underwater and is now leaching over into the rest of my yard. I have pictures of ducks if you'd like them.
It appears to me that the county health department really has a concern about mosquitoes in the county. I know that personally. But it seems to me that they don't have a concern about mosquitoes on your property.
No,
and that's
this
pretty
is
interesting.
all the way down. I have 5 other letters from residents on this same row that their land is saturated. And my brother-in-law, who's been in construction for 30-something years, was a kid when they laid the tile where the digression is happening.
I have a suggestion. Call the state health department. Maybe you can get somewhere with them.
Okay, so...
And if anybody else here has a suggestion to help her out, please.
So the county has no responsibility to
Yeah, the county should, but the state is over the county.
I see our ombudsman sitting there. It seems to me this is a perfect venue for Mr. Allen to talk to you and see if we can't bring some coordination to resolving the issue.
Because I have a $20,000 repair that over time this is amplified, and I can't even correct the basement until this is alleviated or dried up, which it's just gotten worse every year from what I understand. All the residents that I've talked to, this has just been an ongoing issue. And I do know that Carlisle Township has asked Mr. Albert to dig a ditch, but from what I hear, nobody's going to do anything unless they're forced to.
And I probably shouldn't have suggested publicly that you call the state, because the last time I suggested something about our county health department, my son got his picture in the paper again. So every time I open my mouth about the county health department, my son pays for it. But I am telling you to call the state health department and report. Just what you have told us.
Well, like I said, I didn't know if this is the agenda or not. I have letters for the commission board from residents that I walked around last night because I found out about this meeting yesterday afternoon, and I said, if you can't be there, just write a note of your concern so that they can contact you. Who would I turn those letters over to?
Somehow they have to be forced to do their job if they have a real concern about mosquitoes.
I think it's deeper than just that.
It's deeper than mosquitoes. I am seeking legal counsel. This is beyond, this was, as far as I'm concerned, it was incompetent.
But that is a health issue, too. Whether it be mosquitoes or the standing water, the stagnant water,
Purchases of homes are going on because city employees are putting their stamp on it, and it's a damaged situation. Is it the state, or is it the people that are paying the paychecks to these people?
We can...
They don't want you to talk.
I guess not.
Sign language.
We can certainly check with the health department with Mr. Zabel to see if there's a possible another outcome. But drainage problems between private landowners are private matters.
But when it becomes a health issue, I believe that the
Failing
health
septic
department...
systems and a health issue.
And I'm not denying that, but and we can check with the health department. Just for your own edification, this board has very little authority over the Lorain County Health Department, so I need to make that clear. They are a separate, freestanding, quasi-governmental agency with very little oversight by this board.
I misunderstood. I thought there were commissioners here that were over that.
That's why I'm speaking now, just so we don't leave you with the feeling of inattention to your needs. But we can make an inquiry on your behalf, and I'm sure that...
Yes, please, because they're not returning my calls anymore.
They will inform us of where the matter rests right now. But that's the health issue. But the drainage issues of runoff or on private property between private property owners normally is a matter of an issue between those property owners.
Right. See, I have three different issues. I have a city employee who put their stamp on a decision-making factor that I purchased a home about. I have a property owner that needs incentive. He's going to be coming to y'all for permits to build homes out there, and it's only going to get worse with the drainage. So that's why I'm bringing it up now, because accountability. How can y'all help us if we're not telling you?
And I'd like to say that perhaps this is an opportunity for us to work towards improving the drainage there if in fact the development proceeds. And Soil and Water Conservation District might be able to help us out with that too, because they have some money to clean ditches, but it requires the approval of the property owners involved. So there's a lot that goes here together.
Is there a ditch in the area?
It is a digressing erosion. I have pictures of it. It is basically where the tile, my brother-in-law who's in construction said when he was a kid, he helped the previous landowner lay tile. So there's an adjacent tile that runs down. Now talking to the prominent residents that have been around 20, 30 years, they said that the backup started happening between 5 and 10 years ago when the second addition was added on.
That tile is a private tile, correct? It's on private land?
It is private, but it is causing a health thing, so it again goes back to the city.
Which I'm not trying to diminish your position.
Oh, I appreciate what you're saying. This could be a class action suit. That's why I'm seeking legal counsel.
Exactly. I mean, we can deal with the health issue, and obviously soil and water conservation may be a place to go too, but I don't think there's any ditches in the area. What apparently has happened is there's been considerable construction over a period of time out there, and has shifted the drainage patterns probably of the runoff, and it's probably running onto your property.
And who would I file a complaint about Mr. Szabo to? Because I understand there's several systems that were comparable and were passed for the purpose of a sale.
If you leave your name and number with Mr. Allen, we'll make an inquiry on your behalf and see if we can at least get an update.
As Mr. Hamilton said, he had been out to this problem, the engineer of Lorain County, 3 years ago.
And a lot of times the county engineer will go out and look at issues to determine if there's any county involvement or if it's a governmental problem that we need to intervene in.
But professionally, he should have at least addressed it to me, sent back some kind of answer, instead of just, I'll check into it, never heard from him again.
Mr. Hamilton?
Called back, and then his associate said, well, we're not really involved in that. And I said, funny, y'all were out here 3 years ago.
I'll check with Mr. Hamilton, and we'll also speak with him. But not to, once again, sometimes these issues are private matters between adjacent landowners. Normally when somebody starts building and they do a lot of construction, that shifts the drainage patterns, and
That's what our big concern is that he had just moved, Mr. Albert just moved to try to, I guess it was rezone that area to Elyria so that he could get some pro bono sewer systems and so forth. And my concern is, I don't want this man building till what we have is in operating order. And aren't you guys the ones that handed out those permits?
Where exactly is it? You said city employee. Where exactly are you?
It's not, excuse me, he's not a city employee. John Sabo, if you're speaking about
Right,
John
he's a
Sabo,
health
he's an
one.
employee of the county health district.
Right, so whoever issued, it would have been a township issue in Carlisle?
No, it's a health district with John Sabo.
Right, but the third thing I'm talking about is permits being handed to this man to build before this is resolved.
Okay, but right now that property is in Carlisle Township. He withdrew his petition for annexation. I don't know where it stands now, if he's going to resubmit it or not. So he would, plans would probably have to come. Mr. Twining, I'm looking at you. Would your community development department have input on development in this area if it were to stay in Carlisle Township?
If it's to stay in Carlisle Township, yes. It's the Community Development Department will review the subdivision. The County Health District and Mr. Szabo will be one of the reviewing entities, along with the County Engineer's Office, Soil and Water Conservation. You mentioned them as far as the ditch, wetland areas, flood-prone soils. They look into that, make a report, and several other reviewing agencies. But as long as it's in Carlisle Township, we will look at it and review that as that subdivision comes forward. I have also provided her with a business card, depending on income eligibility. If the household is income eligible, there may be some assistance that we can provide for her through the Community Development Block Grant or through the CHIP program. It would be unlikely, but I would like to encourage her to call either myself or Kelly Glenn, and we'll ask some questions and we can assess that as well, and we may be able to further direct.
What about her neighbors, Ron? Could they also apply?
In that general area, they could. It would be on an individual basis,
Right.
and it's all based on the income status of the total household, and it has to be owner-occupied. It can't be rented. But if there are 4 or 5 households and 1 or 2 are income eligible, we may be able to help them, but then that doesn't alleviate all 5 or 6 houses that are adversely affected here. But we'd be happy to look and see if there's something we can do.
I think the problem has to be alleviated with the water, if not the problem to their homes. The damage it's causing to the homes is not going to be alleviated.
Yeah, and we would, as long as it's in Carlisle Township and not in the city of Elyria, we would be more than happy through either a planning operation or community development to help, coordinate this effort through the soil and water and county engineers if it is not a problem between adjoining property owners. If there's no jurisdiction, then the only potential way that we can help outside of the right-of-way or a publicly dedicated easement would be if the households are income eligible. And that's a very small percentage, but we'd be happy to look at any of the property owners over in that area.
Okay, thank you.
If I have an Elyria address, and I know I'm in Carlisle Township, I was recently told I could, for a certain amount of money, hook in, for instance, with my sewer needs to Elyria. I mean...
Well,
in the area, she's on Southwood Drive. The first part of it's in Carlisle Township. The back portion's in the city of Elyria.
I'm 2 houses away from the Elyria mark.
I don't think that the map came that far south.
I don't know if that sewer line runs down that far either.
Well, there is access in the back, but we need to check the map. The county has an agreement.
Yeah, because the house that's between us, it's their system that's underwater.
The county has an agreement with the city of Elyria regarding access to their sanitary sewer, but there's a defined area, and I'm not sure if that area goes as far south as where Southwood Drive is, but we can certainly check that too.
Well,
And
Mr.
who would
Eichenloff is
follow
here.
up with
We
me?
can ask him to check and see if you want.
Well, I don't think, Chris, you don't know the boundaries of that offhand, do you?
No, I would have to know where her parcel is, but I can check the boundaries for you.
It's on the south side of Southwood Drive.
Mr. Eichenloff is a Assistant Safety Service Director in the city of Elyria, so maybe you would like to also provide him with your information.
All right. And so therefore, if we cannot get Mr. Albert to do anything, if we're not eligible for the funding, we can only pursue it legally? Is that what you're saying?
It sounds like it probably would be a matter of litigation between adjoining property owners, yes.
Okay.
This has to do with the air rights. Robert Kish, 7Cs.
This has to do with what, please,
It has
Bob?
to do with the air rights under the Basque Bridge.
Oh,
in Lorain.
okay, I'm sorry.
If I owned that land, let's say you traced it back to me, and I hadn't paid taxes for that many years, I wouldn't own that land. Maybe you should pursue that. When were the taxes last paid on it, on the land?
Well, everybody's current. It's a matter of easements, and if the land was owned by the county or the state, it would be tax exempt. So there's no issue with back tax or owed taxes. It's just an issue of access, whether that be by permanent, temporary easement, or by deeded or leased title somewhere throughout the years. We're still looking for that. But it's a good point, but
okay. Well,
on county land, we don't...
They had lost the taxes, and if so, it was ours.
No, not yet.
Okay, is there anyone else who would like to address the board? I see you coming up.
Hello. Jim Wright, Carlisle Township.
Good morning, Jim.
Hi. We've had residences on East River wanting to sell their homes and having to tie into the interceptor sewer and making road cuts across the East River to get in there, and it's extremely expensive. What are we going to do for these residences that we have negotiated for the right to be into that sewer, for them to do it in a cost-effective manner?
Can they bore under the road, Jim? Can they bore under the road?
Well, apparently not, because the interceptor sewer is buried so deep. My understanding is it's like 25 feet down or better. And there has to be a road cut made, and that's going to make a washboard out of East River. What we really need is a line along the road to service all the residents, particularly down the east side of the road.
If I may, this issue is sitting on my desk right now. Commissioner Blair referred it over to my attention, and I will be meeting with Mr. Carney, our sanitary engineer, to take a look at some possible resolution. Can't promise you outcomes, but the issue is getting attention. It'll probably take a few weeks for us to take a look at that, and if you'd like, we can speak afterwards to see if we can't find some resolution to that problem. One of the things, though, is if a line is brought down there, because I do understand the interceptor line is very, very deep in that area, it will take the coordination of all the property owners down there, and we would need their cooperation and at least a majority of them in concurrence that they want to tap into a sewer line over there. Normally what happens is one or two property owners has a problem. A sewer line down there, I understand, will affect 15 or 18 different property owners. That could get ugly pretty quick. So we would probably need some support from Carlisle Township, some support for the residents, and some resolution from the county in a cooperative effort so that the outcomes are positive for everybody. Because I understand right now there's one or two households there that are very, very concerned and want to do something, but there's also some that don't want to do anything at all. So maybe we should talk after I see what the options are available are, and then how we can present those options to the public and to the township out there to get some support.
Okay, I think there's a bigger underlying issue than meets the eye. I think naturally anyone that has a toilet that still flushes would not want to address anything.
Exactly.
However, I think it's been pretty well established that we've got about a 50% failure rate in septic systems overall. So that's something we as responsible leaders really need to be addressing.
I concur, and we're not going to shy from our responsibility on this issue, but consensus building is usually a better way of getting something done than forcing something on people. We probably need to develop the solutions or the alternatives, because there's always more than one solution to each problem, and probably have some meetings and invite the residents from that area, all the residents that would be affected if they show desire, and then look at building a consensus to get some outcomes. I will have something in a few weeks. I'll work with Mr. Carney on some possible alternatives, and my assistant's here. She'll give you one of my cards, and then maybe we can speak in a few weeks and have some better data at that point.
Okay. One other thing, would we have a choice in Carlisle as to whether we would have Lorco build the infrastructure or the county, or do we have no choice in the matter?
Actually, I'm going to kind of reserve an answer on that. I'm looking for solutions right now. As far as local issues goes, I'm not aware that they're looking at that, but we'll look at any data that's presented to us as far as an outcome, a positive outcome.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Okay, thank you, and thank you for your attendance this morning. Move to adjourn.
Second. Mrs. Massey?
Aye.
Mrs. Blair?
Aye.
We're adjourned.